I do like to say that there is a lot of money available for students to go to school, and hopefully this presentation helps you to access those funds. Here at UTA, we did award around $500 million in this past academic year, and over $30 million of that was in scholarship funding, which you'll learn later is gift aid or free money just for you to go to school. So hopefully this presentation helps you to be more confident in the application process and access the money that I'm going to be talking about today. Over 70% of Mavericks do receive some type of financial aid or financial assistance. So please do not ever feel embarrassed or concerned to come speak with us about finances. That's what we're here for. We want to make sure that you get the money that you qualify for and the maximum money at that. We do consider any type of financial aid or any type of money given to students specifically for school to be financial aid, whether it be things like grants and scholarships or even things like loans and the federal work study program. So this is all going to be considered financial aid for our purposes. So just keep that in mind. I do like to preface this next slide by saying that these numbers are not a bill for you. These numbers are estimates based on the estimated cost of attendance for attending UT Arlington for a full year as a full-time student. Now, on this screen, you'll see different costs associated with going to school, like tuition and fees, of course, but also things like books and supplies, transportation, housing, and things like that. The main takeaway from this slide is that if you are not living on campus, which you're not required to as a student at UTA at any time, you will not be charged for for housing payments, nor a meal plan. You will only be charged for housing and a meal plan if you stay in student housing or take out a meal plan. The biggest thing to note in this slide is that tuition and fees for a full-time undergraduate student, full-time meaning you're taking at least 12 credit hours each semester, undergraduate meaning you're pursuing a bachelor's degree, that'll run you about $12,000 for the year or about $6,000 per semester. Now, we also include things like books and supplies or transportation, or even just miscellaneous items, because there are other things associated with, other costs associated with going to school. But the main thing is the tuition and fees aspect. If you're not staying on campus and maybe you're commuting to campus, you don't have to worry about housing. You probably don't have to worry about $3,000 of transportation charges either, to be honest. But we do like to get students in the mindset that college does cost money. And so this is just for your budgeting purposes. Again, this is not a bill. These are not your exact tuition and fee charges. These are just estimates to help you with budgeting for college. Now, we would like to help you pay for college, but the first thing you need to do is complete a Fafsa. The 2021-2022 Fafsa is the one we're going to be looking at specifically to award you for the upcoming semesters. The 21-22 Fafsa covers summer 2021, fall 2021, and spring 2022. Now, I like to tell students to complete the FAFSA the year before you need it. So this FAFSA did open up in October of 2020, and hopefully you all completed it then. With the FAFSA, in addition to completing it, you will also want to complete any verification if you are selected, and I'll go into detail about the verification process in just a few slides. And you also want to be admitted to UTA. Now you have one of the three things done. Hopefully you have all of the three things done, but it's also important in the timeliness that you do these things. If you have completed your FAFSA, turning your documents, and been admitted before January 15th, which is the state mandated priority date, you will be considered first for additional state-based aid. These are going to be things like grants, which is free money, which I'll talk about later. So we want to make sure that if you qualify for these funds, you can get them. Now, after January 15th, it's just awarded on a first come, first served basis until the funds run out, which does happen kind of fast. So we want to make sure each year you're getting your documents submitted early, not even on time, early, so that you're putting yourself in line to receive the money that's available to students like you. We determine your eligibility for these funds by the information you put on your FAFSA. The information that you put on your FAFSA is used to generate a number called the EFC, or the expected family contribution. This number is what financial aid offices all over the country use to determine how much money to offer a student. If you are a dependent student, which most of you probably are, your EFC will be defined by both your contribution as well as your parents. For students who are independent, meaning you are not required to provide parental information on your FAFSA, it will solely look at your contribution. Now, the thing to know with the EFC is that the lower the EFC, the higher likelihood it is that you will receive need-based aid. And the higher the EFC, the less likely it is that you'll receive need-based aid. We want to make sure that the information you put on the FAFSA is as accurate as possible. So please note that each year the FAFSA will use tax information from 2 years prior. For 21-22, you should have noticed that the FAFSA looked at 2019 tax information. Now, we do know that things can change and happen to money over the course of 2 years. So we do have a contingency in place, but we need this at least to make a baseline for you. So make sure that when you're putting your information on your FAFSA, you're doing so as accurately as possible based on the correct tax year. I did mention that you will want to get the verification process complete. 1 in 3 students will randomly be selected for verification, but you can put misinformation or discrepant information on your application that will trigger this process. For verification, we take every measure that we can to notify you if you have been selected so that you can get the information into us as soon as possible. We will email, call, text, send letters in the mail, do everything short of popping up to your house. We also post onto your to-do list in your MyMav account. So as a student, especially a fresh admit, you want to make a habit of checking your MyMav account and your student email on a daily basis so that you don't miss imperative information. With the verification process, it will prevent you from being awarded. So the longer it takes you to get your documents to us, the longer it will take us to get you an award offer. So you will want to make sure you get that taken care of. If you're unsure if you've been selected for verification, you can always reach out to us and we can confirm your status. And then I always tell students and their parents to keep your tax information handy after you complete the FAFSA, because typically if a student is selected for tax information, that's what takes the longest to get to us. If you have any questions about the specific documents that we're requesting of you, you can always reach out to us for additional clarification. I did mention we have a contingency in place for students whose FAFSA reported income is not actually reflective of their current financial status. We call this the special circumstance form, and basically you can provide updated financial information to our office and we can reevaluate your FAFSA based on your current finances. We know 2 years ago is a long time in money. So we want to make sure that your information is always accurate as possible because we use your information to award you. Things that warrant a special circumstance could be anything from loss or change in employment, death of a person who contributed to the income of the household, or just change in type of employment. A lot of different things can affect money. And so if something has changed or you think something might change, reach out to us and we can go over this process with you. There are 41,000 plus Mavericks, so we can't reach out to everybody individually. So if you do at any time in the school year have an issue with your money or a change in your status, please reach out to us. Now, I did say that we consider any type of money to be financial aid, but for these next few slides, I'll differentiate. Gift aid is going to be considered free money or money that does not require repayment. We consider gift aid to be things like grants and scholarships, which is just money given to you to go to school. Now, self-help aid is not bad aid. It's just money that you sometimes have to do a little extra for. With the loans, of course, it's loaned money, so you're expected to repay it eventually. And then the federal work study program, which is a neat program, you have to earn the money. So with the work study, there's a question on your FAFSA that says, are you interested in work study? I tell every student to select yes, even if you have no intentions of ever working a day in your life. Cool, I get it. I don't like to work, but here we are. So, things happen. So if you are interested in work study, or you feel you may be interested in work study, again, it's a cool program to participate in. It's a good way to earn some money while in school without it really infringing on your studies. As a work study student, you are a student first. So the job will have to work in line with your school schedule. There's a maximum amount of hours you can work each week, and there's a maximum amount of money you can earn each semester. So it's a really ideal situation for students who, especially on campus, want to earn some additional funds. And then you get a paycheck that comes directly to you, and you can use that money as you see fit. With the federal loans, of course, you are expected to repay them. I will go into a little more detail about the loans in just a couple slides, but pretty much everybody who does a FAFSA will get offered some loans. When we offer you any type of money, we will send you a breakdown of those funds that looks very similar to this. Basically, we'll tell you what type of aid you receive, gift aid or self-help aid, how much gift aid or self-help aid you received, and for which semesters you have received that money. We will also include the estimated cost of attendance summary, which I went over in the first couple slides, and that's when students start to panic. Again, these numbers do not reflect a true bill for you. These are just estimates based on, typical costs associated with going to school. With the intent of providing the cost of attendance summary is to give you some numbers to compare your aid to help with your budgeting process. But again, it's not a bill. You will actually start to see your real tuition and fee charges once you start registering for classes. Some additional gift aid, which is also going to be considered need-based aid, are going to be things like our grant programs. Now, the blue bubbles represent federal need-based programs like the Pell Grant and Work Study, basically meaning they are dependent on the information you put on the FAFSA. If the FAFSA says you qualify for Pell Grant, you're going to get a Pell Grant. If the FAFSA says you qualify for Work Study, you're going to get Work Study. The bubble in orange represents state need-based aid, which is dependent on both the information you put on the FAFSA and when you submit that information. If you remember way back in the beginning of the presentation, I mentioned the priority date of January 15th. This means if you have a qualifying EFC, because need-based aid does look at your EFC to determine your eligibility. If you have a qualifying EFC and you have met that priority date for getting your self-admitted to school, getting your FAFSA submitted, and turning in verification documents if selected, then you will be considered for additional funds. These come in the form of MAV grants, TPEGs, and Texas grants here at UTA. Each school is differently, but Texas does allocate some funding to schools to give to students, but it's very limited, so you gotta make sure you get your stuff done in time so that you can get that money. Now, not every student will qualify for federal aid through the FAFSA. So we do recommend students who don't qualify for the FAFSA to look into applying for TASFA. The TASFA is an application for state aid for students who are Texas residents and qualifying non-citizens. With TASFA, you can submit your application directly to UTA. Unfortunately, it's not like the FAFSA in that you can put up to 10 schools on it, and you have to send this application to each school individually. But it does open October 1st, just like the FAFSA, and it does abide by the state priority date of January 15th, just like the FAFSA. The only thing is that because it's an application for state aid, it's very limited amount of money that's offered each year. So you want to make sure that you are early in getting your stuff submitted so that you can receive these funds if eligible. If you have additional questions about the TASFA, you can go online to our website at uta.edu/FAO, or you can check out collegeforalltexans.com. You can also come to our office because we are available to students. And then we have additional links to resources for Dreamer students at uta.edu/student-affairs/DACA. So I did mention pretty much everyone who does a FAFSA will be offered some type of federal aid, some type of federal loans. So the two federal loans that we deal with are the subsidized and unsubsidized loans. They are pretty much the same thing in that they both have a fixed annual interest rate of 2.75%. You do not have to make any payments while you're in school, as long as you're enrolled in at least half-time hours each semester. I mentioned full-time is 12 credit hours, so half-time is at least 6 hours. And then even once you graduate or drop below half-time hours for 6 months or less, or 6 months or more, you will have a grace period before you're required to start making payments. Now, with the student loans, students who do the FAFSA will be, offered these funds and considered for these funds. However, students who do a TASFA will not. If you are a student doing TASFA or a student who does not qualify for federal aid, you may want to look into alternative loans like the College Access Loan, which information can be found on our website. These are additional loan funds for students just needing some extra money to get them through school. We do have a breakdown of different loan programs that are available to students. With the loans, especially the federal loans, you never have to accept them if we offer them to you. However, the federal loans are, you're entitled to them. So if you would like to use them or you need to use them, they'll be there. And if not, you don't have to worry about them. Because there are loans, they are required to be paid back. And when you accept loans for the first time, you're going to be asked to do two things to make sure that you understand that. The first is going to be a master promissory note, which is basically you acknowledging that you are borrowing federal aid and you understand that you are going to be expected to pay it back. And there's also going to be loan entrance counseling, which will go way more in depth on the borrowing process, how to use the loans, and what repayment looks like eventually. They'll both be completed at studentaid.gov, which is where you went to do your FAFSA. So, high points. FAFSA and TASFA both open on October 1st each year. I expect you to do them by October 2nd each year. I'll give you to the 3rd, but that's really pushing it. So, the 1st would be preferable. Once you submit a FAFSA, it does take us about 3 to 5 business days to receive that. So if you haven't heard anything after that time has passed, definitely feel free to reach out to us. I gave you my email for a reason, so I expect you to use it. You do need to complete verification if chosen. Make sure you're staying on top of your email and your MyMav account, because if you are selected, you will be the first to know. And then just know that financial aid will disperse 10 days before your classes begin each semester. So though we start typically awarding for the upcoming year in the spring, if you're not attending until the fall, you won't be able to use that money until the fall. Every student has to meet specific standards to stay, good with UTA, but especially students receiving some type of financial aid. You want to make good choices. Here at UTA, we call our standards SAP, or satisfactory academic progress. And again, it boils down to just make good choices. You do have minimum cumulative GPAs that you need to meet. You want to make sure that you're passing most, if not all, of the classes that you attempt, and that you're not taking a whole bunch of unnecessary hours each year. If you want more information about the policy, you can definitely find that on our website at uta.edu/FAO. But I expect everyone will be bright, shining stars, exemplary students, making great choices, and won't even have to worry about this. I did mention information about scholarships, specifically that we awarded around $30 million. So if you would like to access some of that money, you will want to go online to Mav Scholarship and check out all of the different scholarship opportunities that UTA has, especially for you Mavericks. This website only provides scholarships to students who are currently enrolled at UTA. So you're not competing with the whole world. You're only competing with other Mavericks who meet the same eligibility requirements as you. You're presented with the scholarships that you meet the general criteria for, and then you choose which ones you want to apply for. We take the legwork out of everything. With Mav Scholarship, we do update it, regularly, at least a few times a month. So if you don't see something you like right now, just keep checking. This is a great way to get some additional gift aid, which remember, you do not have to repay. And if you get an outside scholarship from, Dr. Pepper or Walmart or whoever, and they would like to send the funds to UTA, we do have a process for that as well, which you can find more information out on our website, or you can reach out to me and I can get it to you as well. Speaking of reaching out to me, you can reach out to me for anything related to your financial aid needs, but we also have some general contact information. The Financial Aid, Scholarships, and Veterans Benefits Certification Office all work very closely together. But if you have questions specifically about scholarships or specifically about veterans benefits, I would encourage you to reach out to those offices specifically so that they can get you the best and most accurate information. Of course, if you have financial aid questions, I'm your girl, or you can reach out to us, call us, email us, or even come and pop in on us in the office. Because like I said earlier, we are now available to students. You can also connect with us on social media. We try to meet you guys where you are, and we know you're a digital bunch. So if you do have any inquiries or content that you want to see, I don't know, you can definitely reach out to us via any of these channels, and connect with us. We'll get you the information you need, and if we can't, we'll at least point you in the right direction. Appreciate you sticking with me through this, and hope you enjoy your time here at UTA. Go Mavs.